welcome back to FPL Malbo. My name's Andy. I'm going to try and bring you this video every single week and put a little bit of structure into it. So I'm going to be showing you how I did in my previous game week 1. I'm going to go through my watch list of players that I'm looking at, and we'll do team selection for game week 2. There's a lot to get through, so we better jump straight into it. So this is how my team looked for game week 1. As you can see, I did make the change to Turner, which I said I was going to do as long as he got transferred over to Nottingham Forest. As it happened, Dariola actually started, so it would have been fine to stick with him, but I'm not disappointed with that. It takes the risk out of the equation, I guess. But 82 points all out. Delighted with that. Overall rank of just inside the top half a mil. Considering a huge amount of people will have bench boosted, triple captained, that sort of thing. First game week, I think that's really solid start. So I'll take you through my team. Flecken in goal. I watched the Tottenham-Brentford match. I'll get onto my thoughts on that a little bit later in more detail, but Flecken I thought looked all right. There wasn't a huge amount I could do with either goal. The second one was a shot from outside the box, but it was one of them where there wasn't a huge amount of power, but I don't think he could have got close to it. And yeah, it looked relatively solid. And actually, Brentford defensively looked pretty solid. I mean, the Tottenham goals came from a long shot and a free kick. So yeah, I think there's clean sheet potential there for Flecken. He definitely looked okay. In defence, Gabriel's benching was a surprise to me. I think it was it kind of leaked before the game week, but I was working and I didn't see that. I may well have gone for Saliba. If not, having said that, I think I saw he'd started 72, 73 matches in a row before getting benched for this one. So I'm not going to panic. I know he's been sold by a lot of players. There's the possibility he just comes straight back into the team and starts again as first choice. Don't know how the Julian Timber injury is going to affect that either for Arsenal. So I'll talk through it more on my game week 2 plans, but I would love to just leave him in there and wait and see on that one, because I'm not sure that he's now permanently benched, but yeah, we'll have to see on that. Speaking on with 7, Chilwell with 7. Speaking apparently played really well. It sounded like Brighton played pretty well. Chilwell, again, I watched the Chelsea game, Chelsea-Liverpool, and Chilwell looked the most likely player to score for Chelsea. I think nominally he was playing left wing back. It was a bit of a surprise to see Chelsea starting a back 5, but I don't think it makes a massive difference to Chilwell, because I think he's that attacking either way. I think that Reece James is the one who'll hold back a little if they're playing in a 4. But yeah, Chilwell was playing basically as an inside forward on the left. Had a goal ruled out, very marginal offside. Delighted to own him. He will be top of my watch list, or top 2 in my watch list, I think, if I didn't own him. If I'm looking for a defender right now, yeah, he will be the guy that I'm looking at. I actually started with John Stones in front of Chilwell. I really debated that one as well, and it obviously didn't matter in the end because Stones was injured. Again, I'll talk about it more in my kind of review for game week 2, but I think it's only a little injury he's gone away with City for the Super Cup. So I think he'll probably be back next week. Onto the midfield, and Saka scored a worldie, picking up bonus points as well with 10. Beautiful stuff. Rashford played down the middle. I really hope that Rasmus Højlund's in the United team soon from a fantasy point of view, so that Rashford can just move back to the left, because he's so less effective up front. You sort of think a midfielder playing up front that out of position, there's big opportunities for points, but it's just a worse option. United were poor, really poor, and just couldn't get him involved in the game at all. And for their best attacking asset, it just seems wasted up against 2 central defenders. He needs that space to run at fullbacks. Maddison, saying that Chilwell would have been top of my watch list. I think Maddison would have been pretty close. he played as a 10 in that Tottenham game and basically ran the show. He was on free kicks, corners. He was the most creative player. Deserved 9 points for 2 assists, even though one of the assists was kind of lucky. I thought he was great. I've always considered Maddison a bit of a streaky player. I don't know if playing in a better team will mean he's a bit more consistent, or whether this is the start of a little streak for him. But I have a good feeling that Maddison's going to continue this, and I'm delighted that I put him in my team, because if I'd watched that game and I'd gone with Foden, which was my initial plan, then I would have just been looking at a way to get Maddison in. Mbeumo, actually not. He played okay. I think Brentford didn't threaten massively, but the Tottenham defence looked suspect. So when they did go forward, they looked like there was goals. Wissa, I thought, was probably the biggest threat, and he was the one who. I mean, they'd nominally played as a 2, but Mbeumo was kind of wandering out to the right wing a little bit, and Wissa stayed a little bit more central. But that's why you put penalty taker in your team. Beautifully slotted away, very much a Tony penalty as well. Just side-footed it into the opposite corner, the way that the keeper went. Lovely stuff. 7 points. Delighted. Martinelli. I've heard mixed reviews on how well Martinelli played. Certainly, I think he's a worse option, or at least last season he seemed like a worse option when he was playing with Nketiah rather than playing with Jesus. I think the way that Jesus and Martinelli kind of interchange positions is really, really good for an FPL point of view for Martinelli. And then some people said he played really well. I've seen highlights of the assist. It's lovely. But if you get an assist every week, you're doing pretty well. So happy days. Watkins with 5 points. I know they got battered in the end 5-1, but funnily enough, I'm not that worried about Watkins. I mean, apart from the fact that he's a striker, but it sounds like Philip played a suicidal high line and just got caught out on multiple times, and Newcastle were great. And yeah, it sounded like Diaby and Watkins kind of played it as a 2 and actually looked threatening between them. So Watkins was always a bit of a placeholder because I wasn't sure who to go for up front, and I thought starting with a more expensive striker so that I could easily downgrade to kind of anyone who looks like they're gonna pop off was a good plan. So yeah, the plan is to keep Watkins for a few weeks, and then hopefully somebody really stands out that I want to go for. And Haaland, just doing Haaland things really. I think it'll take 4 minutes. 4 minutes to score his first goal. Standard stuff. So these are the players that are heavily on my watch list ahead of Game Week 2. To start off, in defence, I'm really looking at Reece James as an option for me. He only got 2 points. He was really threatening, though. I think his and Sterling's link up on the right was really nice, and it was Sterling who was kind of drifting inside, and Reece James who was overlapping constantly. Went off early, but it sounds like that was Chelsea protecting him. I think they said it was tiredness, but I think basically they don't want to overwork Reece James and have him pick up another injury. I think it'll be fine for next week. If they keep playing in a 5, owning Chilwell and Reece James, I think is, with the fixtures they've got coming up is so tempting. So attacking. Also, Chelsea's defence was decent last year. They just couldn't score any goals. I'm not sure that they've fixed everything in front of goal, but I think having James and Chilwell alone, let alone the new signings, just having those two improves them going forward so much. They're so key to how they play. Jackson looked good as well. I'll come in onto him later, but potentially having a forward who could pick up, 15 goals a season. I think Chelsea might genuinely be in for a top 4 shout. And Reece James, captain. They haven't got European football. He could be a set and forget player if he keeps himself fit. I know that's the big if, but very highly on the watch list at the moment. So the midfielder on my watch list is Richarlison. I very, very strongly considered bringing him in instead of Maddison Game Week 1, and I'm glad that I didn't. because Maddison looks the best option out of the two. There's no way I'd sell Maddison for Richarlison unless he gets injured. I've seen headlines like Richarlison fails his Harry Kane audition and things like that. And he didn't have the greatest game, but you could see what Tottenham are trying to do. There's a clear identity to Postecoglou's team, and I think Richarlison's going to be really important in that. And however much he was a bit of a figure of fun last year, he's a good player. He's shown it with Everton, and he showed it at the World Cup with Brazil. He's not someone who's going to match Harry Kane's output, but there's 5.5 million difference in price between the two of them. He doesn't need to match his output. He's playing out of position for FPL because he's listed as a midfielder. And Tottenham played with their wingers really wide. They played with Maddison as a 10, and I'd say 3 or 4 times they looked for that one where Richarlison spun in behind and they were trying to find him a little dink pass over or ball around the corner. And it never quite came off. He had one decent-ish chance, which he missed. I thought his link play was okay as well. Lots of balls into feet. They kind of held up pretty well. I'd say not his best game by any stretch, but I saw enough in that I think that Tottenham are going to create chances for him. Unless they sign another striker, he's going to be starting as the 9. I don't see them moving Son inside on a consistent basis. So yeah, I like the look of Richarlison. If one of my sort of more premium midfielders are misfiring at the start of the season, then Richarlison's probably the guy that I'm looking at kind of downgrading him to. I think that, yeah, I could see him scoring 12, 15 goals a season, which for a £7 million midfielder would be absolutely outstanding. So yeah, he's very much on the watch list too. Strike-wise, I've actually got 2 players on the watch list. The first one being Nicolas Jackson. Actually, vaguely similar to the Richarlison one. I don't think he had an outstanding match, certainly in front of goal. Missed a couple of chances. I really like the look of him. I can see why Chelsea are excited about him. He's very raw. He doesn't look like the finished product at all. There were a couple of times where he picked up the ball and was breaking, and I love his kind of bravery. He didn't look to turn and hold the ball up. He was direct. He was running it. Players like Van Dijk and Kanate are good defenders, and he wasn't overawed by that. He was prepared to attack him and go for goal. And yeah, he looked a handful. He's strong. He's got some pace about him. Finishing, there's still definitely question marks, but similar to the Richarlison thing, really. He's playing at a team that I think genuinely are going to be top 4 challengers. He's the starting striker unless they sign another one, and he's 7 million. It's a really good price. I kept an eye on him, pre-season. He played really well. I was eyeing up on Kunku, who's the more proven player out of the 2 of them. But I think if Jackson gets a run of games because they don't sign another striker, which I think is 50-50 whether they do or not. I think he could have a good season. And if you're going to bring him in, now's the sort of time. They've got West Ham next, but after that, Chelsea have got a really great run. And if they haven't signed another striker, then he's high on the watch list as a possible replacement for Watkins. The second striker on my watch list is Julian Alverez from Manchester City. It easily could have been Phil Foden. I think they had quite similar games in the first game. City, they actually lined up in a kind of very usual way. Rico Lewis doing kind of John Stones thing where he pulls into midfield. But after Kevin De Bruyne went off injured, quite interesting. He kept it as more of a flat back 4, and the fullbacks pushed really high and wide, trying to give the width. And Alverez and Foden were then playing out on the wings, even though Alverez actually started inside and Bernardo started on the wing. He kind of switched them, but they didn't stay wide like a Man City winger usually does. They were kind of running inside and supporting Haaland, and we're obviously trying to go more direct as well, and they were going man for man, so we're trying to get runners in behind. And both Alvarez and Foden, it just didn't quite happen for them. Alverez picked up an assist for Haaland's goal, which is nice. He missed a chance himself. And Foden was similar, like no assist or anything for Foden, but both of them looked really threatening, maybe just a touch rusty. The reason that I've gone for Alvarez in front of Foden is because it's the attack that I think I've got a space. I wasn't eyeing up Ollie Watkins long term. I was looking who kind of stood out to me, and it's the Kevin De Bruyne injury. The reason I didn't go with Foden in the first place is because I thought, well, originally I thought that Kev was going to be out for a few months, and then when it appeared that he was back, I thought, well, it makes Foden way more of a rotation risk. Yeah, with Kev's injury, unless they start making signings, suddenly going to see game time for those two and a lot of it. And yeah, it's still Pep, and you're still going to get the odd bench in, but yeah, Julian Alverez is a £6.5 million Man City player, and I could see him starting 4 out of the next 5. And yeah, he is fantastic value at that. Really is. No, he's not going to match Haaland's output, but is he going to get consistent goals and assists? Yeah, I think he is. And so yeah, you've got to accept the fact that you're going to get some benchings there, and it's going to be frustrating at times. But yeah, I think he's probably worth it. I'd really like to hold off on that one for a little bit because I'd like to see Man City being linked with a lot of players. So we'll see. But it looks like Kevin De Bruyne is going to be out for, I think they said 4 months. So yeah, there is an opening in that Man City team, and I think Alvarez is one of those players that's gonna fill it. So this is how my team is lining up for game week 2. And I've gone for Turner in goal in front of Flecken. I think I'll probably, well, I definitely do that, I think. Sheffield United, I don't think I've got the greatest attack. Yes, Nottingham Forest haven't got the greatest defence either, but home fixture, Fulham away for Flecken just seems a little bit tougher. So yeah, at the moment I'm looking at Turner. Onto the defence, and yeah, I've definitely got some question marks here. Gabriel against Crystal Palace, decent fixture. Speedham Wolves, it'll definitely be in there. Chilwell West Ham, definitely be in there. My midfield is also set, and my strikers are set. The captaincy is going to be on Haaland as well. The problem with having so many home fixtures in your first week is that you end up with a ton of away fixtures in your second week. But the fixtures don't look too bad. I mean, United and Tottenham playing each other is the toughest one, really. So Rashford and Maddison. I don't know. Like, United's really poor against Wolves, so it'd be interesting to see if we get some kind of response. And Tottenham's defence, I still think, is very suspect. So I think there's possibilities that Rashford can get points there. And yeah, like I say, Maddison was the best thing about Tottenham in their first game. And if United let Tottenham get as much ball as Wolves did, I think they will punish them more. So yeah, hopeful on those ones. Yeah, captaincy on Haaland. Newcastle's a tough fixture, but I'm not going to put the captain on anyone else when Haaland is playing, particularly at home. It'll definitely change through the season, but to start off with, yeah, Haaland's going to be captain for that one, and the vice is on Saka. Now, I'm pretty sure that this is what my team is going to look like, but I'll just go through what I'm thinking and possible options. Now, John Stones has travelled with Manchester City to play against Sevilla, which they're playing tomorrow night. I'm recording this on Tuesday. And if John Stones plays any part in that, then I'm relatively happy keeping Gabriel, weirdly. John Stones has got the toughest fixture out of those 4, and he'll be the one that I'm benching. But I'm happier keeping hold of Gabriel if I know that I've got 3 other defenders. I never thought when I saw that the Burnley-Luton match was called off that was going to be a potential issue for me putting Bayer in my team. If anything, I thought he might be a plus because I might get a double game week out of him later on. I thought, well, there's no way he's going to play. I've got 4 defenders in front of him, and I'm only playing a back 3. But yeah, I've got question marks over 2 of them. So if John Stones plays any part in that game, and if I'm happy with his fitness, I think he'll start the Newcastle game because I still think he's first choice. Then I'll be rolling a transfer. Now, if John Stones doesn't play in that game and we don't get any sort of good news out of Arsenal that makes Gabriel likely to start, then I will have to make a decision on my defence. And at the moment, as I showed on my watch list, the one that I'm really looking at is Reece James. Now, I think there's other options. Like I could easily go down to like a Newcastle defender. Botman was in my team a lot early on. Newcastle got really tough fixtures coming up, and I would rather put that off for 3 or 4 game weeks. Like eventually, Botman will be in my team. It's the same reason why Isak isn't on my watch list, even after scoring two goals. Like tough fixtures, and also he came off after 60 minutes for Wilson, who scored. I still think I'm not sure which out of those two will start. But yeah, defensively, it's the fixtures and. Rico Henry as well, I really like the look of in the Brentford game, but I don't want to double up on the Brentford defence. So, yeah, really, it's Reece James or bust for me, I think. And I'd ideally like to give it a couple of weeks and see how Chelsea are consistently playing. Like, are they going to stick in that kind of 3 at the back with Chilwell and James bombing up as wing backs, or are they going to do what they did in pre-season and play as a 4 with Reece James kind of tucking in more and Chilwell bombing forward? So yeah, I'm really hoping to roll a transfer, but if John Stones is still injured, then I might have to make the decision, and it will be Gabriel who goes. I will just hold Stones through his injury. I don't think that's a massive issue for me. Yeah, so that's how the team is looking. I think that there's a 90% chance that that's how it's going to look, and a 10% chance that Reece James comes into the team for me. Well, that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, then please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. I'm massively appreciated when you guys do that. And let me know in the comments what you think of the players on my watch list and my Game Week 2 plans, and anyone I may have not put any thought into or overlooked. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on another video.